and welcome to Build Series live in New York City. I'm Laura Muraski from HuffPost. Our next guest came on the scene in Nashville in 2014 with their first full-length album and have been busy touring and making music ever since. This quartet will soon drop their third album, Leave What's Lost Behind, on January 24th. Everyone, please welcome Colony House.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome to Build. It's so great to have you all here today. About a month away, a little over a month away before the new album gets released. How are you feeling right now?
Stoked. Yeah.
Yes.
Consensus on stage? Stoked? Yeah.
Stoked.
Well, I understand this is sort of, harkens back to going back to your roots in some way. How so?
This is I mean, from the production standpoint, we worked with the producer off our first album. When you tour, you ask all your friends and the fans, like, what did you like about what we've done so far? And we just had a ton of people telling us there's something special about that first album. And I think for us, most of that was just naivety and like, oh, we like this. It feels good. We're all smiling. Let's do that. It wasn't like, well, I wonder what, radio will play, or I wonder what this invisible imaginary critic will say about this. It's all like, this is just what we like, and that was even about what we were saying with the lyrics and what we were communicating with the sonic, structure of the song is like, if this makes us feel something, I think that honesty and authenticity will resonate with the people that have already said, hey, we like what you're doing.
At the same time, though, you can't erase all those years of experience in between. So how do you achieve that? Because you can't say, oh, well, we went into it with a naive mindset. How do you achieve that honesty?
I feel like it just kind of culminates as like the naivety was like a cool way to harken back and look at things maybe the way that we would have before. But like you're saying, you still bring all of the years of touring. You still bring just like the skill of getting better as a musician and like figuring out what works and being better songwriters. And so I feel like what's special about this record now is kind of the combination of the two things.
You mentioned that you worked with the original producer from your debut album. What does he bring into the mix that you didn't have at the last album, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, we could probably all say something different. When I sat down with him, I was like, hey, Ben, we're going to take care of bringing all the insecurities into the room. We're going to doubt what we're doing. We're going to think it's not good enough. And we need you to say, shut up. It's good. And encourage us. That was like something we really wanted. We were like, we want a spirit of like joy in the studio and not like, we didn't want to operate on fear, we wanted to operate just on like, we're making music, and we get to say something. Besides just kind of being a mentor, he is an insanely talented composer. We really wanted strings to be a big part of this, and he orchestrated all of that, and his brain works on a different level musically than all of ours. So I think he brings something out of us. He challenges us and pushes us into different space.
That's awesome. I saw a lot of you nodding. Do you have any other opinions on like how he brings something to the mix?
Well, he's like Caleb was saying, he's a very gifted pianist specifically, and there's a lot of piano stuff ideas that we brought that then he expanded on exponentially, and then he brought even more piano ideas. So like where we started with kind of basic inspiration, he kind of, I don't know, I feel like he really took it and then just blew it up in a big way.
Yeah.
And he made Park, who plays piano for us on the road, he made his job much more difficult.
Much harder.
Well, you know what? You got to you want to challenge yourself too, right?
Indeed.
I mean, did you feel like you kind of moved the needle this time around and pushed yourself a little harder? And
yes.
How so?
Definitely.
Oh, I probably.
I feel like you could list off like a million reasons.
Yeah.
One I thought was really cool and worth noting is, in the past, like Caleb was sending us demos and stuff of just like songs, and I was like, one of the most notable things to me was like, man, your voice sounds so different on these recordings. Like as you're sending them, it's like certain songs just sound way different than you've ever sung before. And so when we went into the actual tracking of the record, we Caleb, instead of the traditional like everybody in the studio and him in the booth and like singing, and we're like, no, do it like this, no, do it like this, and then he was just like, I think I'm gonna sing all the vocals by myself, and everybody was really on board with it because of these demos he'd been sending, and so I kind of feel like he was able to just like jump into this new like space as a singer, and really kind of like get in and embody the lyric. Because no one was
It's like
around.
singing in the shower. You're like, no one's listening, so I'm just gonna go for it.
Right, right.
And if I kind of wish there was a camera, like, because the process was hilarious. Of like, oh, I'm gonna try it because I don't feel stupid. Where I'm pretty self-aware. Like if someone's in the room, maybe I won't try that. I don't want to look like an idiot or fall flat here. And so that was definitely a huge thing. I pushed myself. I kept having to call the guys and be like, I have to stop singing vocals. I'm hoarse because I've stretched my vocal a lot higher than I have in the past. So we'll see how that turns out touring. But I was proud of us and all these dudes, like just like operating on a do what we want basis, and like just like go for it kind of. There was no rules in the studio,
And we also had a lot more time than we had had with previous records to like just, I mean, a month, was it like a month and a half total? Like every day of the week was pretty much, we had it blocked off. So we just, I don't know, I felt like we were able to truly dive deep into the mindset, as opposed to, Only Lonely was tracked in 2-week periods in the middle of touring. And so it's like hard to kind of stay focused. But yeah, it was cool. Just we had so much time to really craft everything.
Well, I think it shows on the record. I mean, a lot of fans got to hear at least 2 of the songs from the new album before it comes out in January. Original Material is the first one. Can you kind of set that song up and where that came from?
it's probably appropriate. Kind of what we're talking about. Original Material is this this idea. We put the music video out a couple of days ago, and we made these big heads because we like the idea of bands have big heads, and the more popular they get, the bigger their heads get. And we wanted to play into this parody of this band trying really hard to like do something that catches the eye of everyone, and just finding out like trying hard doesn't usually work out if you're not being who you are. If you're trying to like dress and play a part that's not you. And so the interesting thing about this video is it really ended up being a parody. We're making this video about a band trying too hard, but the lengths we went to make this music video, it was like, wow, the joke was on us because we got in a van, drove 24 hours, made these big paper mache heads, filmed it in the desert in August. We're from Tennessee, and we didn't realize there's like 120-degree weather in the desert. And so it was kind of this big joke. But that is Original Material, is like the self-realization of like, oh, I am my best when I am honest. And I think people receive it the best when you're being honest. And that was a big part of Original Material, and wrapping it in a really fun kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that applies to so many areas of life, whether it's your work or your personal life, about sort of staying honest and true and trying to be who you are. Right. And you talked a little bit about like artists who get big heads, or playing in front of big fans, and you've grown through the years. How do you sort of keep your cool and sort of like maintain that sort of connection with the fans? Because you said from the get-go you kind of went to the fans for some feedback of like, what do you guys like? What do you want more of?
Totally. We've always said we want our music to be a conversation. It's easy to be on stage and just say what you have to say because you have the mic and you're louder. We've really wanted to make music that that kind of requires a response, because we really appreciate listening to that, and it really informs what we have to say. If it's just one direction of communication, then it's, I don't know, as an artist, why are we doing what we're doing? We're doing this so that people get to listen to it or get to see it and be inspired, hopefully, by this. Or not. I mean, that's the beautiful thing too. It's like, you don't have to like it. But we really want it to be a conversation, a two-way thing where we hear what the people, that these fans that we get to call friends too, have to say about this and how it's affected them. And then, like, on the next song, we get to dive into, it shapes us. Their response has put us in these seats and puts us on a third album and everything else. So it would be sad if we kind of were just saying what we wanted to say and didn't want to listen.
Yeah, I mean, these days you really have that opportunity because of social media, because of all the ways we can network. You can network with your fans in order to do that. You talked a little bit about what you want your music to do. I do feel like, the other song that you released from this album has a sense of hopefulness. And we're in a divisive time right now. Did that kind of play into, some of the songs where your mindset was at when you were writing these? Like, bringing that hopefulness to your fans. I mean, I think your music has done that in the past anyway.
Thank you. Yes is a short answer.
Yeah.
The thing you said about divisive times, it was important on looking for some light. The way I've kind of talked about the lyric of that is like, the visual I had when I was writing the chorus is like this kid standing in a dark room and has no reference for where he's at because it's pitch black, and they just want out of this dark place, and they would take any kind of point of reference to help them. And then the hallway light flicks on and you see the bottom of the door illuminate, and you're like, oh, that's the direction I need to go. And that was when we were talking about everybody's looking for some light. Some was such an important word that we went back and forth. The light, a light, some light. Some was so important because for us, it just takes a little tiny bit of light to direct you. And that felt like the thread that we wanted to weave through this album that feels very universal. Like, no matter, what we believe or what walk of life we're coming from, we are all going through these kind of hills and valleys in life. And those little moments of light and those really dark times are like huge, and they have been in our lives, and that is definitely a big thing for us in our music. We want to communicate that and say, hey, we're all in this together. We're all looking for a little bit of light to get through these times.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, can use that right now for sure. It sounds like this is a really collaborative process. I mean, how do you come with the songs? How does this all work, and how does it coalesce in the studio and beyond?
Yeah, I think a lot of it starts. I mean, we're all from Nashville. Caleb, it kind of starts with an acoustic guitar and usually humming or made up words that don't make any sense, and he'll kind of send it over and be like, "Is this worth chasing?" And so that's probably a lot of the way it starts. And then sometimes it's like a beat or like a getting in the room together and just like hashing out something, and that starts the idea of a new song. And it's super. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of all over the place when it comes to like the start of something, but.
It's like fishing.
It is.
Whatever's sometimes whatever the fish are biting, that's the bait you put on.
As we have gone like throughout the years too, it's funny. We're in rehearsals right now for the spring tour, and we're trying to learn how to play this new record that we recorded, and it's funny how we did like 2 weeks of rehearsal, and at the end of the 2 weeks, we were like, "Wow, it feels like." Actually pretty good, and which in the past, like we've spent much longer than that learning new records before, and so it's kind of cool. Like as we go on as a band, everybody's getting better, and it's like these moments that like the chemistry just continues to grow, and so these moments where Caleb brings a song, it's like it can happen so much faster now, which is really cool.
That's awesome. And you're going on tour in was it January you're kicking off the tour? Wow. And you have a lot of dates scheduled, which is nothing new for you all. You're on the road in a van still, yeah? Or
Ooh,
Ooh, not anymore.
We've
Okay,
'cause I
graduated.
was like, you mentioned van earlier. I was like, what? But then this
It's the start of a new decade.
Okay, so
It
tell
is.
me what's the new decade? What are we doing this time around?
Private jets every night.
Only the best.
Yeah, we figured, just we're gonna go out in style, just like spend it all on one show. We're gonna get a private jet, and that'll be our farewell show. No, we have been in a van and trailer for 10 years, and we figured out how to get into a bus for this next tour. So that was a big deal for us. It's gonna be nice.
It's a huge deal.
But yeah, we start in Nashville, Tennessee. We're playing a record release show in January. And by record release show, we just figured, hey, this is our third record. One of our favorite venues has 3 venues, so we'll just go ahead and play every one of our records in each different room. So we're playing every song we've ever made that night. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And then
We might have to cancel the tour after that.
yeah, right. And then the tour starts a couple weeks later. And goes all over the place.
Wow, lots of rehearsing, I guess, for those first 3.
Right,
Banging out
yes.
right away
Yeah.
because you got to go back into the archives. Now you have 3 albums of material to play, and then of course to pick from for your set.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
We'll put like a Planko board up and we can drop it in and see what song we're gonna play that night or something. I don't know. Good stuff.
Taking it back a little bit, you two are brothers, and you come from a family history of music. Do you feel like it was always inevitable that music is like in your blood? Was there ever something else that you may have done?
No, we were doomed. My dad, I remember going to see my dad play when we were in kindergarten. It was just what we were gonna do. Somewhere, I think maybe in middle school we had dreams of being professional athletes. But once we realized that wasn't going to happen, we decided music was our best bet, and it got us out of going to college. And even out, it got me out of my last year of high school. I did graduate though. So these were all good things for me. That's where music has taken me. And look, 10 years later.
Here we are.
Here we are.
bus.
We're in a bus.
Yeah. I mean, it's those little things, right? That bus is going to be sweet when you have
That's a
like
big
more
thing.
space, right? Yeah, that's a big deal. What about you two? Like, music was always in your blood too?
No.
No. He's like, never.
I got hosed into this. We're both from Knoxville, Tennessee, and I like really last minute applied for college because I was like, oh no, I didn't apply for college, and that's what you're supposed to do now, right? So I graduated high school, and I didn't know where I was going, and then I applied to University of Tennessee and Middle Tennessee State, and ended up getting in, which was cool, and then so like a month into the summer, I was like, well, I missed orientation and everything, but I should probably just show up for the first day. So I went to college for 2 years, and then we started the band, and then I tried to do a semester of online school, but I failed all the classes. And I was just like, well, I should probably just quit. So I did.
Thank goodness
Good,
Colony
good,
House
good.
came through.
Yeah.
for you.
We're really,
and then,
we're
and then
not
here we
quitters,
sit.
No,
Yeah.
It was whatever. Yeah, it's good.
I don't know. I need to get a copy of my transcript.
Yeah.
'Cause
You
maybe
still
I
got it,
could-
man.
I
You
could
can-
probably finish one day.
You can. You should.
Oh my gosh. All right. Before we go to audience questions, I want to do a little speed round with some quick
Oh, very cool.
questions.
Let's do
So let's do it. All right. Do you remember, Caleb, your first ever concert that you attended?
No, it was my dad. It had to have been my dad's.
Yeah,
I was
that's
probably
obvious
like
one.
1 month
Dad.
old. I do
Dad.
remember going to DC Talk Supernatural though.
This is a speed round, Caleb.
Sorry.
Speed.
Okay, go.
So, same for you, I
Dad.
imagine.
Dad, for sure.
Dad. Okay.
Toby Keith.
Toby Keith.
Circadian rhythm. And I don't even they just played at my church, and I remember going and seeing them. I was like, whoa, a concert.
All right. The artist that's influenced you the most, probably.
Dad.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Or I'll say, gosh, I'll say you too.
Dang, that's what I was going to say. Coldplay.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy. These video games, the soundtracks to these video games actually is what got me into music.
Wow.
So I'm going to say that.
Wow.
I'm going to
okay.
be the nerd.
We're going to switch it up a little bit. We'll start with you, Park. The last show you binge watched.
Ooh. Well, can it be like what I'm currently binge watching?
Yeah.
The Mandalorian.
Okay.
I'm rewatching Mad Men right now.
Oh, that's a good one.
Me and my wife just finished the second season of Succession.
Peaky Blinders.
Good stuff. All right, one
just finished
last
that one,
go around.
Good stuff.
Caleb, we'll start with you. This is a hard one, but like one of your favorite movies of all time.
Forrest Gump.
Sandlot.
Moneyball.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Wow, all very different. I love it. All right, we have a couple of questions from the crowd before I let you guys go. Who do we start with? Right here.
Hi, thanks so much for coming to talk to us today.
Thank you.
You guys talked about how you guys changed a lot and evolved a lot musically with this album, and I just wanted to ask if there's any artist that inspires you, and there's like an album from that artist or group that showed their evolution that, you know, inspired you musically and also just personally was like a favorite of yours.
Yeah, we've been calling this our Joshua tree. So we thought that was kind of cool. You too, Joshua Tree. In case you haven't heard it. But yeah, like the visuals and a lot of things around this record kind of are based around a landscape. And we thought that was a really cool thing that they did, and that record was obviously a huge deal for them. So we were like, well, maybe we could try that.
And a huge deal for us. I'm just a major Randy Newman fan. His album Dark Matter, I think it's his most recent album. He's just a great storyteller, and I'm always trying to tell good stories or be better at telling good stories. And maybe that's where piano kind of came into this album more than it has in the past, of being like, I'm going to try that out. Seems like people tell good stories with a piano backing it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Sweet.
Hey,
What's
guys.
up?
Hey. I have sort of a fun question. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Great question.
Don't Stop Believin'. That's me.
Won't Back Down. Tom Petty. Generally do that one.
We Are the Champions. Queen.
It went viral, this guy doing it, but Tequila. He just you just have to say one word. It's pretty good.
Dun, 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 dun.
Tequila. So, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you for that. And thank you guys for coming to Build today.
Thank
really
you for having us.
appreciate it.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Album is out on January 24th, and these guys are on tour all of next year in a bus. So
In a
Yes.
bus.
get
Yes.
excited. All right, give it up one more time for Colony House, everyone.
Thank you so much, y'all.